O Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name, or if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I will no longer be Capulet. Shall I hear more, or shall I speak of this? 'Tis but thy name that is thy enemy. Thou art thyself, though not a Montague? What's Montague? It is nor hand, nor foot, nor arm, nor face, nor any other part belonging to a man. Oh, be some other name. So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection of which he owes. Without that title, Romeo, doff thy name, and for thy name, which is no part of thee, take all my soul. Why did I just read you a quote from one of the most famous plays in history? I'm here today to inform you about William Shakespeare, one of the greatest dramatists and one of the most influential writers of all time. I ask that you hear me out when I'm finished. I hope that you take with you a new appreciation for one of the most important people in our history. First of all, there are little known records about William Shakespeare. His birth is unknown, but it is guesstimated April 23rd, 1564, based on his baptism. He is the third of 6 children. His mother, a land heiress, Mary Arden, and his father, a leather merchant and mayor of Stratford for a short period of time. His father came into some money trouble and was arrested for illegally trading wool. This ended his career and caused much hardship for their family. Shakespeare attended Stratford Grammar School during the Elizabethan period, and he was taught Latin. He married Anne Hathaway at the age of 18. They had 3 children, Susanna, Judith, and Hamnet. Hamnet died at age 11. Scholars suggest that maybe it was due to the plague because it was very common back then. He became extremely successful. He wrote 37 plays and 154 sonnets. He had 15 plays published. He found business partners and built the Globe Theater on the Thames River. He purchased real estate, and experts suggest that is how he was able to write his plays uninterrupted. He was born in an Elizabethan era, and it was a dangerous time with feuding between the Roman Catholic and Protestants. About 15 years, give or take a few, prior, the church used to have all the power, but King Henry VIII decided he wanted annulment from his wife, Catherine of Aragon, because she could not give him a male heir. So he decides to go to Parliament to take the power back from the church, and it works. So, anybody convicted of treason after this had their heads just cut off. Shakespeare actually had family that had their heads put on stakes in front of the gates of London. He incorporated many of his life's events into his plays because of this. His works are all tragedies, comedies, histories, or a mixture of all three. He focused on classical Greek mythology, and Romeo and Juliet is said to be based on star-crossed lovers, Pyramus and Thisbe, who were Greek gods. His works are full of religious symbols. The significance is because he lived in such a hard time, religion became extremely important. They say that Romeo and Juliet, in a sense, was based on the Pyramus and Thisbe, but really, some people say it was about the feuding that was still going on from King Henry's separation from the Roman Catholic Church. He grew up in this period, so he developed a respect for what was happening around him and incorporated it into his plays to make light of the situation. People all over the world identify with his work. He welcomed everyone to watch his plays, the poor, the rich, the middle class. However, it was full of rough humor and sexual innuendo, so it really was not for young minds. Even though back then the female roles were played by men. His work is studied all over the world, and he is considered one of the most influential writers of all time. He shaped our literature system today. With his literary tongue, Shakespeare left a legacy that has been untouched for over 400 years. His influence on the English language is he discovered thousands of words and phrases. He coined new terms to describe unbelievable and tragic events. He expanded the scope of English and laid the groundwork for every future writer. He influenced many other fields as well. You think Shakespeare was just a writer, but he wasn't. He was much more. He was very brilliant. NewYorkTimes.com says psychology, sociology, political theory, business, medicine, and law have all welcomed and recognized Shakespeare as the founder, authorizer, and forerunner of important categories and practices in their fields. He is still relevant today because of what he wrote about, because he wrote about the real things and real things that occurred in real life. Asia1.com states, the Bard has not become obsolete because he wrote about human issues that have remained unchanged over the years. Shakespeare will be around forever because of this. Shakespeare was so much more than a poet and a writer. He founded much of what we know today in society. He is all around us and forever will live as one of the most influential people in society, in history, I'm sorry. Now I ask you to be or not to be. The rest is up to you.
Very good.
Very good.
Thanks, and I really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you. Anytime. That was awesome.
I have another one coming up. I'll probably call you.
Thursday's a good day. We're here.